Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This week's video goes out to all the friends out there who aren't sure whether a PhD is right for them. Do you personally need to do a PhD? And that is what we're going to be answering in this video. So let's get started. To make a video like this is because that is genuinely how I felt like literally like this time a year and a half ago. I came from a veterinary background, so I am a veterinarian, and research isn't really something that is showcased that much when you think about vets. When I realized quickly that I wanted to go into research, I was really unsure about what my options were, what even a PhD was. So I really wanted to give back what I'd learned there and make this process easier, just in case there's anyone out there who's going through the same sort of thing. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you're figuring out trying to navigate this whole thing, it's very overwhelming, it's figuring out your why. So why do you want to do a PhD? This is something that is like literally so important. You really need to dig deep down into your roots. It's something that's going to come up in your statement of purpose, your personal statement, your interviews, and if you already know it so deep within your mind, it's going to be a lot easier and you're going to be more your authentic self when you come to do the application process. So how on earth do you go about doing that? What I like to start with is, I was going to say figure out why I want to do a PhD. That's literally why we're here. I tried to figure out what I wanted to do with my PhD. I tried to sort of think like really far towards the future and think like, okay, where do I want to be in my career? What has drawn me to research? What's drawn me to this in the first place? Is it a job prospect, or is it just the fact that I love learning and I want to learn some more? Another thing that you could try is going from a top-down approach. Think, okay, why do you want to do a PhD? Why do I want to do a PhD? Okay, because I want to go into academia. So why do you want to go into academia? Because I want to learn new things and further knowledge. Okay, why do you want to do that? Because I love learning. Okay, why do you love learning? Do you see what I mean? Like working your way down so that you really get to like that bottom point of like, I literally just have a passion and thirst for knowledge, or I really want to help others, and that is why I want to do this or go into education. And you might find that when you get to that bottom part, you don't actually need to do the PhD. There might be another way around it. So that's the sort of framework that I tried to follow when I was figuring out why I wanted to do a PhD. Okay, so we figured out our why. We figured out that this is why you want to do a PhD. We've got our strong narrative and there's no other way to get there. We really need to understand now is what a PhD even is in the first place. Like, what is this thing that you're trying to do, you know? PhD ultimately stands for a Doctor of Philosophy. So you graduate your PhD being a Doctor of Philosophy. And that seems weird because your PhD is like not necessarily in philosophy, but it actually comes from like some Greek word for like knowledge and wisdom. So you're sorry, that was my dad telling me to watch Bullet Train with Brad Pitt in it. But it actually comes from the Greek word for wisdom and knowledge. So you're becoming a doctor of wisdom and knowledge, which is way better and probably way more where you want to be. Anyway, so that's essentially what a PhD is. But what it designs you to do is to become an expert in one particular field. So ideally the field that you're most passionate about. It trains you, it's a training program designed to help you become an expert in your field. It gives you the research, like the knowledge. So it tends to be quite research heavy. So you'll do your own independent research. You'll answer a question that nobody's ever answered before, which is really cool. You'll write up your findings in a thesis. There's lots of public speaking, presenting, going to conferences, learning things, like being on the edge of science, which is really cool and very exciting. And I don't know if you can tell, but I think that's really exciting. So that's why I get excited about doing PhDs. And hopefully you guys are feeling the enthusiasm too. It also gives you a massive skills package. So you come away with that with so many transferable skills that you can then use for other things, hopefully, which will then help you achieve your why that we talked about earlier. So I'm gonna whiz through like a few different career options that you can do with a PhD, just to maybe that'll help you narrow down your why, or like give you other reason to apply for a PhD. I don't know. Number one, academia, the obvious choice. A lot of people go into PhD hoping to then become a supervisor and have their own PhD students. Whether you want to work at a university, do lecturing, that kind of stuff, that all counts as academia. The second one would be industry. So working in industry, that could be like working for AstraZeneca or like Pfizer or biotech companies, that kind of thing. So you're working to get the medicines out to the people. Also working like clinical trials, that kind of stuff, that all counts as like industry science. A third one is something that's probably not often talked about, but I think is super valuable, is entrepreneurship. If you guys follow me on LinkedIn, I am super excited about entrepreneurship and the opportunities available for PhD students in this space. I think that skill set that you've learned through your PhD is extremely valuable if you're like a founder or looking to start your own company. So like that's definitely something not to shy away from and to be open to and consider if you hadn't considered it already. Another one would be like law. So you're probably thinking like, why would I do a PhD to then go and be a lawyer? Like I should have just done a law degree. But actually people with PhDs are super valuable to like law companies. You could be like a patent lawyer or work for intellectual property law. Like that kinds of stuff is definitely very valuable to have people who have PhDs for doing that kind of thing. Another one that I vaguely touched on before is like an educator, whether you want to go and be a teacher, like that kind of, if you have a PhD, like that's gonna really help. That's a career that you definitely could do with a PhD. No doors are closed off here. Another one, which I think is kind of interesting and a little bit rogue, is like venture capital firms. So obviously like a lot of big biotech startups look for funding from venture capital firms, and they often consult, so like a kind of a consultancy role. They often consult PhDs and scientists to like figure out which are gonna be the best investments and things like that. So you could definitely work for a firm like that, which could be like something fun and interesting to do. And another one is working for the government. So all of these laws about like science and medicines and regulations and all of that government work, they need people with PhDs to do that. So that's another unconventional, I say unconventional, but like not as talked about role for PhDs. What I would say is a lot of the time at these institutions where you're doing your PhD, they have dedicated career things which help you navigate your career choices after your PhD, even if it doesn't necessarily involve going into academia. So they're a good place to start if you're considering where to go with your PhD and you're already in grad school. So what I really want to talk about now is, say we figured out our why, you have strong career aspects, you're like, yeah, I'm 100% sold, like I want to do a PhD this time next year. What can you do to prepare yourself and make yourself in the best position to be like a competitive applicant come application season? My washing machine is done. I will be back. Sorry about that. This is something that I got like super lost with. I was literally like, oh my gosh, where do I start? Like I'm not from an academic background. I do not know where to go. So this is why I kind of want to break it down into like some actionable steps that you guys can take to make yourself like in the best position. The first thing I would say is make connections with people who are doing similar things to what you want to be doing and ask for their advice. So let's say that you want to do a PhD at X school and you want to then become a like patent lawyer. Find patent lawyers who have a similar background to like what you want to do, come out of doing a PhD, for example, and connect with them like on LinkedIn or something like that. Send them a DM, ask for an informational interview. That is super valuable and can give you a lot of advice specific to your career. Like obviously I'm not an expert in that kind of stuff. I'm only talking from my personal experience, but when I was looking at getting into research, talking to fellow vets who'd gone into research was really helpful for me in figuring out like whether it was actually necessary for what I wanted to do, like that kind of thing. So it's definitely a good place to start, is making connections and asking for advice. Then I would say you can start moving on to researching schools and programs. So it's definitely a good idea to do that early. I literally started by Googling like PhD programs at the time I was interested in infectious disease. I was like, infectious disease PhD program. Literally just Googling it, see what came up, visiting every single website ever on the planet, and reading into their requirements, when applications started, when applications ended, that kind of thing. What I did at this point was I started to make a Notion template, which I'll actually link below in the comments because it was really helpful for me, and it really sort of combines point number 1 and point number 2 quite nicely together. So at the top, I had a list of people that I thought was like interesting in the field, doing similar things to what I wanted to do, and I would their name down the side, another column with their email, and another column with like when I'd contacted them and if they'd replied or not, so that I could sort of like not be annoying and contact the same person like a million times. And it really helped me keep track of who I'd spoken to, who I hadn't spoken to, and noted down any advice that they'd given me. And then underneath, I would have like a massive list of like schools, programs that I think I might want to apply to, and it would say like the opening date, the closing date, deadlines, and then when I came to applying, it was easy to like tick off, oh okay, I can see that this is coming up this week. I could tick off that I'd applied, whether I'd got successful, rejected, interview, that kind of stuff. So I'll link that below. I'm gonna make it free, like you guys can have it, but it was really helpful for me when I was doing that kind of stuff. So then we want to try and figure out how to improve your application. So schools and PhD programs love for you to have some research experience, but I know that that's not always possible if you've come from a background that's not necessarily in academia like myself. So I will also link to the video, maybe up here, I don't know if I can do that, I've never done one of those, but link to the video up here about getting like more non-conventional research experiences that don't necessarily involve being in a lab. So that was like something that I found super helpful. I basically did all of those things. I'm not going to go into it in great detail because I genuinely would say like watch that one, but things like volunteering, doing self-directed research, reaching out to professors, asking to get involved in their research, things like that was really helpful for me when I was doing it. Online courses, that kind of stuff, trying to build up your experience and just prove that this is something you really want to do. A way of showing passion is showing the time commitment that you've been putting into these activities. And if you're showing showing that you've put time commitment into these activities rather than like sitting and watching Netflix, it's really going to show the admissions team that you're like passionate about this and genuinely want to do a PhD and be there, because it all ties back into that strong narrative that you've written before about your why. So what I really want to say is like immerse yourself in this. Obviously take breaks, we don't want to be burning out, but like immerse yourself in this. Think, okay, what do I need to do? Get it all written down, be organized, look up stuff in advance so it's not so stressful like nearer the time. Starting in January is a really good time to start because a lot of PhD programs open their doors for applications like August through to December kind of thing. Obviously it depends on the school, don't take my word for that, but like having it looked up and being like, okay, this is what I'm aiming for this year is a great place to start. Oh my goodness, we have covered so much ground again today. I really hope that you have found this video helpful. Like this was kind of the framework that I followed when trying to figure out whether a PhD was right for me, what I needed to do to be like better in my PhD and things like that. So I really hope that this has been a helpful, I really hope that this has been a helpful video. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave it a thumbs up, drop any questions that you have about PhDs and applications in the comments below and I will get back to you. Also, if there's any other types of video that you want to see, please drop a link in the comments. And yeah, if you like this kind of content, then please subscribe so you don't miss out on any more. And I will see you guys next week for another one. Bye.